Okay, this morning we're going to make a little simple puzzle for young children. I'd say probably 3 years old, around that range. It's very easy to make on the scroll saw, and it might keep the little ones entertained for a little while. What it is 7 bears, called floating bears, and the object of the puzzle is to take all the bears out, of course, give it to the little child, and see if they can get them back into the proper holes in the board. Now, each bear is a little bit different, so it's going to be a little bit tricky at first, but with some practice, I'm sure your youngster will be able to figure it all out. Makes a nice little challenge. So what we're going to need to do this is the pattern, and you can download this for free. If you look down at the bottom under this video, you'll find a link which will take you to the free page, and you can download this to your computer and print it out, and you'll be ready to go. You're going to need a piece of MDF. I'm using 1/2 inch MDF. You might want to use 1/4 inch. Didn't have any available at the moment, so I'm going to try it with 1/2 inch, see what it looks like. And you'll need another backer board so that the bears don't fall through when you put them in. I'm going to be using an old drawer bottom. You can use 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, 1/16 inch, whatever birchwood ply would go great. That's going to go on the bottom of the puzzle board itself when it's done. All right. So the first thing we have to do is take this backer board, and we're going to put some tape on it. And the reason we're going to put the tape on it is twofold, actually. One, you'll be able to stick the pattern to the tape, and then you just peel it off later on, rather than putting the pattern right on there and gumming it all up with all kinds of material to try and remove it later. The tape removes a lot easier. And secondly, it'll also help with cutting, making the blade go through your board a lot smoother. Simply take your tape and put it on here. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can wrap it all the way around if you want, or okay, we've got the board all nicely covered with tape. Now what we have to do is we've got to stick this on there. There's a lot of ways you could do it. You can do it with spray adhesive if you like using it on the back of the pattern, or you can try other methods of putting paste on there, or you could have done this on a contact type of paper. I prefer to use glue stick myself, and what I do is I take the glue stick and rub it along the back here, and it sticks down very nicely. You don't have to worry about breathing it in as you would with aerosol sprays and things of that sort. So I'm going to go over and put some glue on the back of this with my glue stick. Any type of glue stick will do, and I'll come back and we'll put this back together. Okay, I'm back. I've got the glue stick residue all along the back of this pattern. And we take it over and just simply square it off on the board. Put it right on there. Smooth it out as best as we can. Okay, flatten it down really good. Make sure you rub down. Get all the crinkles out of it. You want to make sure that's really down there, solid too. I've got a little bit over on the bottom, not really a problem. It's got a lot of space around the edge of these bears. Okay. We have our pattern all put down there very nicely now, as you can see. Now, if you take a look at the pattern, you'll see there are little drill entry holes I've marked. Doesn't really matter where you put them on the bear. I just arbitrarily place them on the bears, and you can start at a different location if you prefer. But this will allow you to drill your holes, and you want to use maybe a 16th inch drill if you can, so it's not too noticeable. And then you cut your bear out so that you have your opening left on the board when you're done. So I'm going to go drill those entry holes right now. Okay, I'm back, and I've drilled all of the entry holes that I'm going to need to get going on my cutting here. So what we're going to do now is take this over to the scroll saw, and we'll cut out all these little bears and make sure that they fit the block it's supposed to fit. If you cut this bear out, he's obviously not going to fit in this one. He's a little bit smaller. So you're going to have to know that when you're putting this thing back together. And that's, of course, what makes it a challenge for the young child. But they do soon overcome it. So let's go cut this out on the scroll saw now. Okay, we're here at the scroll saw. I have my Excalibur. I put in a number 5 reverse tooth blade. I'm assuming that's going to be okay. We can adjust this, of course, as we go along. If it turns out that it isn't going to work, but I think it'll be all right. I'll try to keep my hands out of the way while I'm doing this, but it's going to be kind of difficult because you got to maneuver around here pretty good. All right, so first of all, we'll put the blade in through one of the entry holes. We'll start with this bear up on the top here. Okay. You don't want to cut from the edge of the board. You want to have this nice and clean up here, so always make sure you have your entry holes drilled first. Tighten that down a little bit. And we'll try it out, see if it works. I'm not going to bore you with cutting these all out. I'll just do a couple and then we'll speed it up a little bit, or just jump to the end. Here we go. We had a blade break on us. All right. It's a good experience to see nothing goes perfectly for everybody. So we'll change this blade now. Okay, I put in a new blade now. The reason that other blade broke was that it was an older blade that had been used quite a bit. Should have changed it before I started. And also the knob was a little bit loose on the top, and I think it just gave way in the process. I put a new blade in now. Now it's interesting because when a blade breaks like that in the middle of a cut, if you were on a regular puzzle or if you were on some other kind of project and you didn't need the outside of the project, you could drill another hole and just start right up there. Well, I can't do that on here because you want to have the board intact. So what I did was I put the new blade on and started it up and just skirted it all the way back to the point where it broke, and I'm now ready to go. And that way you don't have to damage any of the board. So that's just one technique you can use to fix up a problem like this. Okay, let's continue on our cutting. Okay, we've nicely cut out our little bear. Fairly simple to do. No more blade breaking as we went along. Let's just take him out of there, see what he looks like. Should be okay. Now, it should work so that he falls right through when I pull this off. And it does. And it should also go in the top just as easily. And it does. Okay, that's what you want. You want to make sure that your blade is nice and straight when you set this up, so that you get that kind of action. So it'll drop right in place. Now, of course, in the final product, it's not going to go right through. It's going to be, oops, move the camera a little bit there. In the final product, let me just get in on the bear a little closer. You can see it better probably. There you go. In the final product, of course, you're going to have a backing board, which will stop the bear from going through. But in this board here, of course, we want it to drop through so we can test it out, make sure it's nice and crisp. Okay, I'm going to cut the rest of these bears out now. I'm not going to bore you with going through the process of doing all of them. And I'll come back when I got it done, and we'll put on the backing board and see what this looks like. Alright, I've got all this cut out now. All the little bears. There's 7 of them. And the back puzzle board is all set as well. Now, the next thing we want to do is peel that tape off that we put on and leave just the board itself. Let's see what we can do here if I do a little bit of it to try it out. See how easily it comes off. Okay, we got all of that off of there now. Now what we should do probably next is clean this board up a little bit. What I'll do is run it over my sander, my sand flea actually, and smooth all this out a little bit. And probably run it over the around the router also on the edges here, so I can round over these edges so it won't be so sharp. So I think we'll do that now. Okay, we're over here at the router now, and I've adjusted it so that it just makes a nice little rounded side on the edge of the MDF. Now this is going to be the front, so this will be the front, so this is the part that we want to put the rounding on. The other part we don't really want to round out because we're going to attach a backer board to it. So make sure you got the right side if you're going to do this. Here we go. Okay, got a nice rounded edge here now that we didn't have before, and you can attach that backer board very nicely on there too. I have a 1/4 inch round over in there, by the way, which you can raise or lower to make it nice and smooth without having too ragged an edge. I made this little my router raises up and down by a crank system, but unfortunately the crank broke one day, so what I've done is I've attached a bolt which fits into that head very nicely, and I'm able to raise or lower it just by using the drill. Makes it nice and convenient. Okay, let's go back to the table again. We've got all these little bears now, and I've left the paper on there with the tape. Now, I don't know how you'd want to finish this, but you could paint this whole thing if you wanted to. I'm thinking what might be good to do, and I'm probably not going to do it because I'm just going to show you how the setup goes. But you could paint each of these white, leave the board brown, and that would make the bears stand out a little bit, of course, in the project when they're in the board, like that, for example. But what might make it kind of fun is that you could have your child draw pictures of the bear on it, if you wanted to. Or you could even paint these white, or leave the paper on it, just if you wanted to do that for the time being. Just have them draw little eyes, or buttons on the shirt, or color it in, or something like that. And it might make an interesting collection of little bears that way. Or you could just simply peel it off and leave them brown. I'm going to leave them white for the time being, just so that you can see how this looks when it finishes up. Okay, let's go put the backing board on now. The way we're going to do that is to simply cut it to the same size as the MDF, which in my case was 8.5 by 11. You could paint the back of this also, the backing board, make it stand out differently as well. I'm only using scrap wood here in doing this, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just demonstrating at this point. But you gotta think about these things when you make your final product. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some glue on the back of the MDF. We can just squirt it around here a little bit right now. Try and keep it away from the opening as much as possible. Don't really want it there at all. Okay, now we'll take this and put it down on the backing board. Get it as straight as you can. I'm going to have a little bleed out inside there. Not a major problem. I'm sure I can clean that up later. Press that down and then take some clamps. These kinds of clamps here, the spring clamps. And just put a few around the edges. When you put these on, by the way, make sure the board doesn't move, because you don't want it to. Sometimes you squeeze it down tight, the board will all of a sudden slide away. So check and make sure that that isn't happening. Let me put this down. I got a little bit of movement there, so I'm going to take this off, slide it back. Try and keep the I think that'll probably take care of the job for the time being. After this dries, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand down the top surface so it's a lot smoother than it is right now, and probably round over the backboard that I just put on there too. Maybe sand down the edges too to make sure everything is evened up as well. So we'll come back and take a look at that later on, and we'll be ready to put our puzzle together. While you're waiting for the glue to dry, you might want to play around with the little bears for a while and make them stack up on top of each other. This puzzle has another function here, I see. Children might like playing around with the bears, see what kind of configurations they can come up with. If they decorate each of the bears, it'll look kind of cute, actually. Okay, the board is pretty well dried by now, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to sand down the edges by putting it on my sander here, just to smooth them out. Alright, I'm over at the sand flea now. I'm going to do some sanding around the edges here. A little bit of sanding just to smooth it out here. And we'll do the surface also. Okay, smooth that out nice and on the front there, and the edges have been rounded over and they've been buffed out with that brush. I'm going to go do the same thing, I think, on the router for the back now. Okay, I've rounded out the sides along the edges, smoothed everything out, nice and clean. Now, as I said before, you could paint this if you want to. You could leave it just as it is. The backing board could have been painted also. The bears could even be painted. I've still got the white paper on. I'm going to just leave them on there for demonstration purposes. Let's see if we can put this thing together. Well, that one's not going to fit there. Let's see. Not there. It'd be embarrassing if the maker can't even put it together. It's a little bear, so we look around. Oh, here's a little bear. We drop him right in there. No way is he going to fit. Down in this one, though, probably. All right. See if we can put him on here. Looks like it might fit in there. This one, not going to work there, nor there, but it does work there. Another smaller bear. And one more to go, and we have successfully completed our little bear board. Now what you could do is you could decorate this board a little bit too, dress it up, maybe put a child's name on it if you want. That might make it more interesting too, and have some fun with it. Good way to pass the time, especially if you're locked inside and can't go anywhere. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, down below just click the thumbs up for me, and maybe might want to subscribe to the channel too if you don't already do so, and you'll be alerted when I come up with some more ideas for work on the scroll saw. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.